Okay, good afternoon and welcome to our Work Smarter Wednesday session. I'm Darren Anson, Strategic Sales Consultant for Symmetry's Construction Division. Most of you will be aware now, we regular slots Work Smarter Wednesdays. These are designed to give insights and value to our customers and prospective customer base. It may be around digital transformation, BIM processes, standards, management, etc. I'm joined today by my colleague Johnathan Ward, Technical Consultant for the team. Johnathan will be taking us through BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro and what it means in the construction world, in particular pre-construction. So our usual format for our Work Smarter Wednesdays, I'll give a quick introduction to Symmetry and a little bit around positioning of BIM Collaborate and Collaborate Pro, and then we'll move on to a demonstration and quite a lot of video content that I've seen already that Johnathan's produced. So it'll hopefully guide you through the sort of plus points of having the technology. And then it's back over to me for a Q&A. So please keep questions coming in the chat box. Our marketing team is hosting the session, so direct these to the host and we should hopefully be wrapped up within the hour. So a little bit about Symmetry and discuss how our business is made up. Within the Adhoc group, we've over 1,500 employees across Europe and over 40 offices. Under the group structure, Adhoc operates three businesses: design management, which is where we fit, process management and lifecycle management. And under this design management banner, we're part of the Symmetry group of companies with over 450 staff. And out of these 450 staff, we've got 70 developers and 220 technical experts, supporting over 150,000 users and turnover approximately 160 million revenue. To break this down even further in the UK, as a construction team, whilst working in the construction space for many years now and looking at our user base in the UK, it's apparent that it's a different set of challenges to your typical architects and engineers. So with this in mind, we've created a separate focus group of commercial and technical staff to fully meet these requirements. And this is some of the team. A lot of them are from industry, having worked for the likes of Skanska, Balfour Beatty, Galliford Try, Morgan Stanley, etc. And we've got a lot of experienced people in the team as well. So we've got a real world understanding of the challenges faced and the value that the right solutions can bring. So how can the construction team help? We break these down into three areas: digital transformation, project support, and implementation and adoption. So digital transformation, this is really helping customers become digitally ready or simply assisting with sections of their digital strategy. Project support. Acting as an integral member of your project team or as an external partner, Symmetry consultants can bring deep technology knowledge and practical industry experience and help de-risk your commitment and provide essential project delivery support. And then implementation and adoption. We get software as the core of any business, and I'm a great believer in how people, process and technology all go hand in hand. Key to successful software rollout is not just to implement the technology, but to optimize this investment by ensuring good measure adoption within your business. And we're passionate about projects. We care about what you're trying to achieve, whether it's building, construction, infrastructure. We love to see the bigger picture. Yes, we can provide software and services, but where we can really add value is in partnering to help build stuff more effectively, on time and under budget. Whilst this webinar is focused around the Autodesk construction cloud technologies, we're well placed to advise and recommend a whole range of solutions that make the construction sector more efficient and effective, as well as developing our own technology solutions like Navigate, for instance, which is a set of time-saving productivity tools that sit on top of the Autodesk tech stack. And we've got CQ, which helps you with your license management and assists with automated software rollout. And as you can see from the slide, we operate with a number of other vendors that significantly add to our proposition for our customers. So why we're here today, it's no secret in the construction industry, we've always faced many challenges, but as individuals, teams and companies, we've always found ways to overcome them. Most companies turn to technology to help, and as we talk to customers, we learn that from each company, project and person, everyone's at a different stage of digitization. So what challenges are you facing today? Now, as we talk to our customers, we hear over and over again about the challenges they're facing day in, day out. Construction industry is known for traditionally low margins, so even the smallest mistake can make or break a project. Projects are becoming increasingly complex, yet the schedules keep shrinking. So it's no wonder that 98% of mega projects experience delays. And then data silos, data and information extremely siloed, making much of it unusable. Industry surveys tell us 95% of all data in engineering and construction goes unused. And then we've got a massive labour problem, which has been further enhanced with COVID-19. And then on top of the labour problem, we've also got a materials problem. Distributed teams, they're becoming more and more distributed, with stakeholders split across different offices. And that could be different verticals, supply chain, or even different members of your team. And then uncertainty. Many challenges bring uncertainty and risk into the industry. KPMG recently found that 78% of engineering and construction companies believe that project risks are increasing, not decreasing. So let's look at, when we surveyed this, general contractors say the highest value use case for BIM in construction is model coordination and clash detection. This is mainly around and in the pre-construction phases. So typical things are automatic clash detection needs to be done by the entire team. This frees up time to focus on the high level clashes. Continuous collaboration allows team members to address issues in real time instead of waiting for the next coordination meeting. A common data environment improves the design visibility and ensures teams are working from a single source of truth. And then design changes can happen live within the collaborative environment. So for those of you who don't know, Autodesk have recently changed the branding and wording around the technologies. And I think I just want to spend a bit of time explaining the commercial differences between BIM 360 and Autodesk Construction Cloud. On the left is the previous product stack of BIM 360. You might have heard this called Gen 1 or Gen 2. And on the right is the new stack, otherwise known as the Unified Platform or Gen 3. And as you can see, BIM 360 coordinates, direct replacement is Collaborate. BIM 360 Design is now rebadged as Collaborate Pro, but it also includes coordination. And then Build replaces the BIM 360 Build, but it now includes cost management alongside its field management tools. And to complete the portfolio, Autodesk Takeoff, which is a new product offering. All this is built on Autodesk Docs, which some of you are also aware it ships in AEC collections, but it's also available as a standalone product. And then as Symmetry is an elite construction partner, we've got different commercial offerings for these tools in addition to normal named user licenses. For example, project-based pricing, which is based on turnover of project, and account-based pricing, which is based on a turnover of company. And both these are unlimited user models. So I get asked a lot, what's the main differences between Collaborate and Collaborate Pro? And I'm hoping that these slides just explain it at a high level. So BIM Collaborate and Collaborate Pro enable building design professionals and extended project team stakeholders, whether within one firm or across multiple firms, to collaborate securely and store data on the Construction Cloud platform for AEC projects. These products include key features for Revit Civils and Plant 3D. For instance, Autodesk Docs, foundation of the Construction Cloud platform, supporting over 50 file formats, robust permissions, 2 and 3D version comparison, and issues and markups. Then we've got the design collaboration module, that gives customers a high degree of control over how and with whom their project data is shared, as well as the unique ability to see all changes from version to version. And then we've got the model coordination module, which gives customers automated 3D clash detection capabilities and integrated coordination issue and management tools. So once we flick on the Collaborate Pro piece, that enables Revit Cloud work sharing. So that's anytime, anywhere, Revit collaboration and control cloud work sharing. And that also applies for civils and Plant 3D. Okay, that's it from me now till the Q&A. I'll hand over to Jonathan to run through what's new in the platforms.
Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen. So as Dan said, we're going to be looking at BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro from stages, early design all the way through to pre-construction into construction. Okay, so we'll start with just a real quick background into this. So we're looking at here, this is Construction Cloud Docs. This is the platform upon which Collaborate and Collaborate Pro are built and are based. all the models that we store for those two modules are stored within the docs module of the entire offering. Now I've got a couple of screens overlaid here. So this back screen here, I'm logged in as an administrator, so I see all of the structure within this project that's been set up. You'll see some key areas of work in progress and the shared models. So the idea behind this is that all of the design teams work live in their models in this work in progress area. With that in mind, if we look at this front screen, I'm logged in here as a separate user. So this is my architect that's logged in here, and you can see that he only has access to this single section within the work in progress model, within the work in progress folder. He doesn't see models from the other design teams. The only time that those become visible is when we use design collaboration and create what we call a package to share with the wider design team, and at that point he then has access to them from this configured shared models. Okay, so because it's based on docs, we have all of this this permission based structure. So it's just to really be aware that, you know, we're not sharing work in progress information. People don't see that. They only see the models that we choose to publish at a particular time. Okay, so we're going to start in earlier stages of design. So I'm basing everything obviously around Revit Platform. I've set up my teams. We've got some work in progress happening. We've got some, I've just highlighted dates here for the architect for some work in progress. The shared design models here, we can see that that is lagging behind this date. So I'm just going to work through the process of how we choose to make our models available to the wider team. Okay, so we start with the work in progress model. There will be an automatic transfer into the shared models by the system. We don't have to, you know, download updated files and then copy them into the right area. This is all taken care of in the background. So for this particular example, this is the architectural model. It's been published, ready to go. Looking at that that shared model, we can see again this is a few weeks behind. So what I want to do is just to make the latest design available to the other teams. We go into design collaboration module for this. So this is the Collaborate Pro that Darren was talking about. This is the part of that package. What that gives us is this project timeline where we can see and track the progress of the design models as they are shared throughout the team. And the timeline just stretches for as long as the project goes. So we can see all the history of the architectural model. We can see the latest model that was published, but we've not yet shared that with the rest of the team. So you'll see that as I click on the little cross, I can create that package ready to share. Okay, so I've split out the model into these particular views. This is all configured in Revit, and this leads into the automated clash detection that we'll move on to shortly. So I simply save that package and then elect to share with the wider team. Okay, that just takes a few seconds just to work through. And if we just expand the project timeline again, and we just click through, we can see that the model was published into BIM 360, and then I've just created the package here, and that's dated the 8th. So if we go back into the docs environment, Remember, Docs is the underlying structure of both Collaborate Pro and of Collaborate. And if we take a look at the shared models now, we can see that that has been updated and now reflects the same date as the latest model that we published into BIM 360. Okay, that model is now available to the wider design team for them to use as references in their own models. Okay, sorry, that seems to be playing again. Let me just go through. Okay, so with that package published, the other design teams will be able to see that package that's been made available. I'm going to look at it from the point of view of the structures team here, because what we can do within design collaboration is within those models, there are obviously going to be, a lot of changes happening between each versions. And what we can do within Collaborate Pro is to really target those. So I've created what we call a watch group here, and I'm just looking at some core wall systems. So this actually digs into the architectural model and looks at a specific set of components within that model. And it allows me to highlight any changes and will in fact prompt me and notify me that there are changes made. Okay, if we just have a look at this, these are the areas that I've targeted, and I can see that there are some modifications made, and it just gives me a heads up so that when I load this into my design model, I will understand where I need to focus my attention. We'll look at a little bit more of change management as we work through the process as well. Okay, so we can see that within our shared models now, we've worked through the process. Everyone has shared their models, made them available to the team. This is something that we probably want to schedule, and there is there is a scheduling function within the design collaboration module that allows us to set up this. So we could say, once a week, publish those models. Once that process has occurred, we can then make use of the Collaborate module, and that can be configured so that as these models are shared to the wider team, that clash detection occurs automatically and in the background. We don't need to do anything else. Okay, so these are the shared models as they've been updated. I'm just going to quickly view one of these because when I created this package, you may remember that there were a series of pre-configured views in there that I set in the Revit model. And I broke them out into various different components of that particular discipline model. They're going to feed into the model coordination module. And what they effectively become, if you think in terms of Navisworks and how that clash detection workflow works, they become our search sets. Okay, now within model coordination, we have three main sections. We've got our model section, clashes, and views. In the model section, we can see, I'm just highlighting here the last clash check, so you can see if the clash detection is up to date. If you're on a particularly large project, then there are some filters that you can just reduce that number in the list. And you can see all of the different views that have been extracted, effectively my search sets. And these are going to be used to do our automated clash detection. But before we get to that, we can also use this as, if you like, an Adhoc Federation tool. So I've just selected a few separate views from different models. I'm just going to load those into the viewer so I can see how all of those different elements come together. So we've got full access to those models. We've got full access to the viewer tools within BIM 360. I'm making a couple of tweaks here just to make it run a little bit faster, turning off ambient shadows and a few other things. I can even enable first person walk through this, and I can chop and change these models. So I'm just going to have a look at this, and I've got the electrical model loaded. So as I call up the list of models, I can just remove that because I don't really play to this particular view. So having set that up, I have then the ability to save this view. I've created a few additional views in here already, and these effectively become, one way to think of them at least, is my predefined clash tests. So these are my search sets. I've created, as I said, a few different views already. So these, if you like, read from those search sets, and they are my clash tests that I want to monitor. I've published them, which means that they're available to everyone in the team. If we just select those, we can go directly in and we can take a look at the model. So we're not looking at clashes here at the moment, although we can, that access is there. So from looking at the individual view, we can go and look at the clashes. We can look at any issues that have been raised against that particular clash test. If we need to make any changes to those models, if we need to add an additional search set in there, if you like, then we can do that and we can update that view. We'll do that a little bit later once we move into the later stages. And you'll see from the top left that I can just jump between those various clash tests, those various views, without coming out of the viewer. So this really plays to what Dan was talking about of focusing on those really important clashes. You'll see when we go into the main clash area, we're first presented with this matrix. And these are only little pretend models just for demonstration purposes. But of course, if we're working on a very large project, then this matrix can become very, very large and looks a little bit confusing between all the different views that are being clashed together. The colors denote how many clashes there are relative. So the lighter the color, the lower the number of clashes. And the darker the color, the higher the number of clashes. So we've only got 15 models here. I have access to just turn them on and off in an ad hoc fashion, but I can select those views that I've already created. Remember those clash tests, if you will. And by doing that, we can really just focus on those really important areas. And this might obviously change as we move through the different stages of design. Okay, so now the clash matrix looks a lot cleaner. We can focus on those particular areas. So let's just go and have a look at one. Okay, and that will load that model in. I'm just going to look at the way that these are grouped together. So in Navisworks, we have the ability to group things together, group different clashes. In Collaborate Pro, excuse me, that's just, sorry about that, that's just jumped. Let me get back into that. Always happens when you're presenting live. There we go. So let's just put that in there. So we can group, as I said, in Navisworks, different models, different clashes together. That happens automatically within BIM Collaborate. So you can see here, I'm switching my primary model from structural to mechanical, and that gives me a different grouping. I have some choices here to look at, for example, the system name from within the MEP model, so that I can focus on an entire system within that and group them together, even down to individual types of object within those models. I'm just going to jump back into the standard setting, which is my structure against MEP. And we can see that the clashes are highlighted, different colors for the different models. Okay, and we can just we can select those. We have the option of flagging these as not an issue if it's a valid interface, if it's a very minor interference. I'm actually going to create the issue here, so I've just tagged the MEP model. That creates this issue. It's automatically named for me according to the clash, although you can rename it if you need to. It will automatically flag itself as a coordination clash type issue, and we get a description with a little bit more information. So obviously the most important thing here is that we can assign this issue to a particular person. I'm in fact assigning it to a company. That means that I'm not waiting on one person to respond. Anyone who is a member of that company within the BIM 360 environment will be able to respond to that. We can add location details if those are being configured. Also, rather importantly, we can add a date by which we require an answer. I'm also adding in the root cause and just highlighting that a screenshot's automatically captured for these. We can add additional references as well. Later on down the design stages, we may want to include photographs from site. We can do that as well on the fly and from the mobile devices. Okay, so we've assigned that clash. So these are all the clashes, the issues that we've created. Looking at them through model coordination, we can review those directly in the platform. We can see who they're assigned to, companies, and due dates. If you select them, then you will be taken to that specific clash, and you'll see all of the different clash highlights. You'll notice from that view as well, we can also navigate through to other issues that relate to these views as well. Okay, and additionally, we can flag things that we want to exclude, that we're not really counting as a clash. It may be that we're not clashing at this stage of the project. Here, I've highlighted some furniture that's been picked up clashing against the floor slab because they touch. So I've taken those out. They can be reactivated later on if we need to. So it may be that you don't need to look at this right now in the project, but it may be that they'll be reactivated at a later stage. So we can always get back to those. Okay, now we'll jump to the next section. So at this point, I'm going to replace my my structural Revit model with a fabrication model from the structural subcontractor. That's going to be in IFC format. I'm just highlighting that here, so that's going to work through that sharing scenario that we went through earlier, and also that will then feed into my my clash detection. Okay, so we'll jump in and we'll start this. So we're going to start with the work in progress again. We're going to have the IFC model loaded up. This might be done, say, from Tekla into IFC, saved into the desktop connector, and automatically uploaded to the environment. We can then create a package in the same way as all the other design teams do. Okay, and that will then make that available to the other design teams to reference into their models. And it will also, importantly, take that IFC model and put a copy of it into my designated, as we call them, coordination space. What that means is that any model that goes in there will be then clash detected. Okay, so we'll just save that and just share that to the wider team. Okay, so just looking at this now from the point of view of lead design, and I'm looking at my project model. This is something that the environment allows us. I'm going to pause that video for a moment. This is something that design collaboration has built in, this idea of the project model. It's our federated model, but it's something that happens in the background. As models are loaded into the environment, they are then included in this project model. Now, I haven't taken out the original structural model. You can see that just highlighting here, but I've added in the structural subcontract model, the IFC model, and that you can see is included in my overall project model. So within that, I'm just going to turn off the design model, turn off the architecture, and we can see now that what we've got is a rather more detailed structural model, and that's going to play to the clash detection as we move through those different stages. This is the first version of this subcontract model, but I'm just highlighting here that we can show changes in the IFC model in the same way as we can through our Revit models. So we can track changes between different versions, again, so that we understand what potential impact that might have with the current design work. Okay, so this normally takes around about 30 minutes once you've done the publishing for the clash detection to take place. So you can see my subcontract model is in there at the moment. If you remember, I previously created these different views. I remember I compared them to Navisworks clash tests. So these clash tests at the moment are looking at the original structural model. I'm just going to go and update those so that they now look at the subcontract model. So we can just select that view. That will load in. You see we're loading in. We refer to them as models. They're different views within the models. But I'm going to load those in, and then just using the add remove models facility, just remove the original structural model and add back in now the subcontract model. Okay, so we'll load that one in. Just give that a couple of seconds just to come in, and we can see that there's more detail around the roof structure. And I'll just update that view. I'll quickly rename it while I'm at it, just to make it clear that we're now looking at the fabrication model and not the design model. Okay, and then just one more, we'll update. This was just the overall mechanical versus structure, so we'll load that in and just swap that out as well. Now, I could possibly remove the design model completely from the environment. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I'm really just highlighting the fact that we're just sort of seamlessly moving from one stage to the next. We're not, reinventing everything. This is the same coordination space. We have the same clashes. We have the same issues that have been set up, that have been running, potentially from early design. So we're not taking, a whole set of information and just dumping it and starting again at a later stage. Okay, so we go back to our clash matrix, and we'll use again one of our predefined views, clash tests. We'll just set that up. So what I'm going to show sort of for the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes is how we work through the process of assigning issues, clearing issues, resolving those clashes between the different models. So we'll just select one of the specific clashes that's been highlighted in the matrix. Just let those models load in. Okay, so that loads those in, and what I can see immediately is the additional structure in the roof is now causing an issue with the ductwork. So I can select them directly in the view as I see them, and you'll see that that highlights the clash in the list on the left-hand side. Okay, if I deselect that, I can look at it from the other point of view, which is to select from the list itself. Okay, so I can find a particular area. It may be that you can see the numbers, 3 clashes, 5 clashes. We can select those from the list, and that will also highlight in the view for us. And we can add multiple individual clashes here to raise as an issue. I'm going to leave it at just the one. I'm just setting up the view here just for the snapshot that's going to be taken when I create this issue. Okay, so we click on create issue and we highlight an area for the pin. I'm making sure to select the MEP model. I want to make sure that the system associates this issue with the MEP model and not the structural model. Okay, so that creates that issue. I'll assign it again to the MEP team, the company. That way, anyone within the team can respond to this. Again, put a due date on. It's not mandatory, but it's incredibly useful so that we can track the progress of these issues. Are we getting them responded to on time? Are there any potential problems with that? You know, is anyone consistently late responding to these? It's just it's a very useful way of managing them. And as we close that issue out, you can see that that clash is removed from this this live view. So we've dealt with it in a way, and that's then removed from these main live clashes. Okay, so we'll take a look at this now from the point of view of the MEP designer. So I'm logged in here as my MEP guy. I'm looking from the point of view of docs. Remember, this is the underlying platform. I've not gone into the model coordination module at the moment. Okay, and we can see the issues as part of docs. So these were created in the coordination module, but they're available for me to view from within docs as well. And that's important from a licensing point of view as well. This is only pulling a docs license and not a coordinate license. And we can see that image. It's only a small thumbnail, but if you select it, you get the option of viewing a bigger picture of that. So I can see that even without having to go back into model coordination. So the process is going to be one of just changing the status of this. I'm going to provide effectively an answer to this. The couple of states that are built in, these are changed from when this was BIM 360 coordination. So we've now got pending and in review, just slightly different states. I'm going to add a comment in here. Okay, and just make everyone aware that a new model is going to be published with the ductwork realigned. Okay, and we'll submit that, and that goes through. That's all responded just using docs. I now go back into design collaboration and we'll republish that updated model. Same procedure as we've done a couple of times prior to this with the IFC model and with the architectural model. Again, same environment. It just continues on through the various stages. Okay, and that's my previous one that was done on the 8th. We'll create a new package and then we'll share that with the wider team. Views already broken down in the Revit model. I don't need to worry about redoing those. I'm going to add a package description here. You don't need to put them in, and they don't need to be War and Peace. Just a few notes to say, there's a particular reason for this model update, and you'll see that that's visible when the other teams look at the packaged models within within the timeline. Okay, and we can see that package description on the left-hand side. Okay, if we look at it from the point of view of the architect, in this particular case, we can see that latest model that's been published. We can see on the left-hand side the package description, so we're aware of potentially what we're looking at. We can use just to show changes here. So previously, I showed you I'm just going to pause that for a minute. Previously, I showed you a more targeted version of this. This is the complete change management engine that sits within Docs and Collaborate Pro. What we looked at before was, as I said, a targeted area. So stepping within the model, looking at particular predefined areas of that model, objects that I want to monitor. This is using just the entire model within the change engine. Okay, so we can just let that load in. It just takes a few seconds to load up and run the comparison. Okay, and if you take a look, we can see the elements that have been modified. And more usefully, I think really even than knowing that what's been modified, you can see that we can see the differences between the version on the 15th and the version on the 12th of the 7th. We can see that those ducts have been moved up. And apologies for my oversight here. I'm not an MEP engineer, and I really just grabbed a few ducts and shifted them up. So apologies to any proper engineers out there. Okay, so that's that package has been processing in the background. As I said, this takes around about 30 minutes once the package has been published for the clash detection to happen in the background. So the clashes have been rerun. I'm going to go to the clashes area, and we'll take a look at the assigned clashes. So these are ones that I've already assigned to different people within the design team. We can see this is flagged as blue now, so it's pending a review. So I can select that. That's going to take me directly to that clash view. Okay, that's just going to load up. Here we go. So we can see all the details. We can see the clash, and we can clearly see that there are no clash highlights. Okay, just pausing that for a second. So you can see that we're just seeing the model as it is. If we were looking at items that still clash, then we would see those clashes. But because there are no clashes, in a similar vein to the way Navisworks displays, there are no clashes, and therefore there are no clash highlights. So I can clearly see information that I'd flagged. So all the oval ductwork against the structural model, I can see clearly that they actually no longer clash. So I can go ahead and just close out this. Okay, we can use the in review mode as well. So we could say, well, we need to review this with maybe the other design teams before we formally close it. We can add that as a separate step. Here, I've just decided that I will close out that issue. Okay, and that just flags it as closed within the system. And that is all I have to show. But I will hand back over to Darren for any questions and answers or any comments that anyone may have. Over to you, Darren.
Yeah, cheers, Jonathan. Okay, good. So yeah, that was a really good insight into Collaborate Pro. I think just to wrap up, our next Works Matter Wednesday session is the 28th of July, 12 o'clock again. And this is all around Autodesk Docs. As I mentioned earlier, Autodesk Docs is now available as a standalone platform again. So Yeah, we've entitled this "Lifting the Mist from Autodesk Docs." Interesting title. So yeah, if you obviously, as normal, these sessions are recorded and available on our video on demand section of our website. So if you miss the URL to register for that, you can find it on our website as well.